I'm Corey Davis, your host, and I'm thrilled to take you on this journey as we dive into inspiring stories, expert insights, and practical tips to help you thrive as a digital nomad. Welcome back to the Jet Set Journeys podcast. All right, welcome everyone. So today we have Max and Jonny with Digital Nomad Guide. They're gonna let us know what they're doing, with how they get started, where they're at now, and where they're headed for the future. So welcome to the show, Max and Jonny. Go ahead and tell everybody, what are you guys doing? First, I want to know, how'd you guys get started?
Well, we got started, we were both living in Bali long-term. So I'm Max and I'm from the US, Jonny's from the UK, and our paths crossed in Bali. So we were there for a few years, loving life as a digital nomad. We were working online, had a great routine, COVID happened. So costs were pretty cheap and life was pretty comfortable for the conditions and the standards of the world at the time. And we both wanted to build something bigger than what we were currently working on. We wanted to showcase what life could look like if you actually left your home country, and how affordable it is, and how you could work online and get to enjoy the beach on a Tuesday, and things that most people at home couldn't really do or couldn't even imagine doing. And it was already our very much reality. So a few months ago, earlier this year in 2024, we decided we were going to leave Bali, which had been our home for many years, and we had a big community and friends and all of that, and see if we could travel the world for cheaper than staying put, right?
Yeah.
So what we did is we built a website first, and we started putting basically all the questions we got. We started writing out blog posts and giving resources and making a toolbox for other people to access, because we were answering the same questions, how do you afford this? Where's cheap? What about visas? What do you do for work? So we put all that on our website, and then we realized a lot of people were asking the same questions, and we could probably get better reach if we started making social media channels. So we got an Instagram and a TikTok, and we're in our mid and late 30s. So we're like, what is TikTok? I thought it was a dance platform. So yeah, we got a TikTok, and we have a YouTube channel. What else? Facebook, we tried them all.
Yeah.
And so now we're just sharing our journey. So what we're doing is staying in popular digital nomad locations around the world. So it started with Bali. A lot of people know Bali as a cool digital nomad place. We moved over to Da Nang, Vietnam, which is epic. Anyone listening, very cool beach town. It kind of looks like Miami, but maybe a quarter of the price. Our Instagram is covered in Da Nang stuff right now. So we went there for a few months. We were in Vietnam, traveling about in Da Nang. Now we're in Koh Phangan, Thailand, which is also epic. Seriously, just follow the journey. We're going to tell you all the best places. We're staying in each of these places for about a month. So we can share things like, what does daily life look like? What do the actual costs of living look like? How to get a monthly rental? Things that the average traveler won't necessarily need, but a digital nomad would. How do you negotiate a monthly rate? How do you extend your visa? How do you know if you can legally work there? What about healthcare? These kinds of questions. So we're sharing all that while we're doing it. And then, giving this information away right now for free.
For free.
That's awesome.
And so our plan is to just keep traveling, at least 1 month in place, bopping all over around the world for the next few years, and keep sharing this and getting other digital nomads to create this community. If someone else is in Italy, or we have friends in Albania and North Macedonia, they're come here. So we'll bring them on if they want to share stuff. We're happy to do collaborations with them and things like that, to just get more of this information out there. Because I can speak for myself, I'm from America, leaving the States, as much as I miss my family and friends, has been one of the best decisions in my life. I don't know if you can relate, Corey.
Yes, I can. So I'm originally from Arizona. And so it's just getting out of my own comfort zone and traveling the world, and just like you said, saving money. But if you look from the outside, you're you're going to these beautiful places. It's was that Hawaii prices? And I'm no, actually it's a quarter of the price. And it's the people are amazing here. It's everywhere you go, right? And I always say respect the culture. So it's little things is just learning the language, right? So Thailand, I'm kapun kap, and they're oh, whoa, that's awesome, right? And it changes the whole demeanor of the situation. I love it. And so, thank you guys for sharing that, because it really is. And honestly, when I came over here, or before I came over here, trying to do the research, I mean, I found out like lower cost of living places, but I didn't know the how, right? Like I knew my why. It's like I needed to lower my cost of living, but how? And then like you kind of know the where, but it just stops right there. Like, okay, when I get there, what am I gonna do, right? I didn't know about cost of living as far as like rentals. You know, I stayed in Airbnb when I first got here. I think it's the kind of everyone's go-to, right? And I'm in Thailand. I paid $900 for a month. And after like a week, I had some friends that I met, and they're like, "How much you paying for this place?" And I told them, they're like, "Oh, what are you doing, bro? No." They're like, "You can get a monthly rental for like $400." I was like, "What?" And it was beautiful. It was like a condo I had with a pool, sauna, steamer. I was like the pool top, the rooftop pool. And I always tell people, I was like, Thai people don't like getting dark, right? So, which means they stay away from the sun during the day, which means Corey's got the pool all to himself all day long, right? And I love, like, only people who are hanging out are tourists, you know, they're getting their tan on. And so, but I just love it. So, and I love what you guys are doing, because we got to share that. It's a big area out there. There's a lot of people who want to know, like, we're doing our research right now, and it's 17 million digital nomads from the US alone. Worldwide is 40 million digital nomads, and it's expected to grow. But just Southeast Asia, 2 million digital nomads. And so, yeah, that's a lot of people. So, yeah, you guys want to share that audience? I mean, we can work together and grow together, right? So, and that's what we're doing. So awesome. So you guys are in Thailand. What's your next trip, or what's next on the list?
So we were actually toying between the idea of the Philippines and Sri Lanka. I think before we got to Thailand, we were on a pretty hectic journey through Vietnam for 3 months, where we basically, I don't think we stopped. We were, I think, apart from Da Nang, where we were there for 1 month, we were just on the move all the time. So when we got to Thailand, we kind of pivoted our strategy a bit and said, look, let's just chill out a bit, find somewhere that we can get a bit of routine in, where we don't get exhausted by like having to find places to eat and places to work out and the best beaches. And I know that sounds awful. It's like, oh, I have to find the best beach. But you know what I mean? You're always making these decisions. So we've kind of fell into this bit of a routine. So we're going to do 3 months, finish out our 3 months in Thailand. And then our next decision was either to go east back over to the Philippines or west to Sri Lanka. And I think we came to the decision that, I mean, Max has been in Asia for years. I've been here for 3 years, and I don't really think I've left. I think I've been on a couple of visa runs and stuff out of Bali, but I've really been based in Asia. And I think for me, and I think Max as well, we kind of want to keep going west just to hit a different culture, because as much as the Philippines and Vietnam and Laos and Cambodia and all these different places are different, it's still Asia in its essence. And I think we would really appreciate getting out to be able to come back later on. So we've been researching Sri Lanka, so we will probably see out Thailand to the end of October, and then maybe do 2 months in Sri Lanka for November, December up until Christmas.
Okay. Yeah, so slow travel is what they call that, right? When you're staying and that's what I love, because you actually, and that was the whole point. That was something that was in my mindset before I came over here, because I've traveled, like had vacations, and you're there for a week, right? Maybe 2 tops, and you don't really get to appreciate the culture. Like as you start meeting friends, it's like, okay, now I got to go. And that kind of sucks, right? So slow travel, like you guys are doing, 30 days, 2 months, 3 months. Like, I think that's optimal to really experience and know if you really like a place, right? And as digital nomads, we like to, well, I know me personally, I stay away from the touristy areas because I can save money, right? I get a more authentic experience where I'm at versus the fake, oh, this is this and that, but it's not really the culture, right? It's just for the tourists. And so, yeah, so Sri Lanka, that's awesome. So I never even thought about that. I think our next move will be like Spain and Portugal once we get out of Southeast Asia, but I still want to enjoy this more as we build this as well. So good deal. So my next thing for you guys is so after Sri Lanka and then anything after that? You guys have any, like, I always do like the 5-year plan, but I know a lot of digital nomads are like, no, I just live for the moment, right? I just, whatever.
I don't even have a 5-hour plan.
We have an overarching goal, which is to keep traveling west slowly in some capacity. We have no idea, but the goal is to hit the States by next year, middle of next year, because then we can stay with Max's parents in Florida for a few months, and then we can and then we were going to maybe drop down into South America. So we don't actually have a plan. Like, we're open to anyway. I can't remember, we were speaking the other day and Max was like, oh, maybe we could swing by here. Like, one of our friends was like, oh, we might have some points and miles for a stay in the Maldives. And we were like, oh, maybe we could fit that in on the way and stuff. So we honestly have no real plan. We just want to keep traveling west so I can eventually see my parents in the UK, and then we'll fly across to Miami to see Max's parents in Florida. So for us, we just kind of want to logistically tick off any countries along the way. I think one important thing to mention here is, I think when we first started out, we were very much like, let's go to this country and this country and this country and this country. And it was like trying to pack in so much. And I think we weren't really considering that we were wanting to do the digital nomad experience as well. So we actually came to the conclusion, we were like, let's just pick digital nomad suitable places that we can stay for a month, that has good Wi-Fi and facilities, that still has that authentic experience that you can live amongst the locals and really get stuck into the culture. But we're not doing 5 days here, 5 days there, where we're just getting burnt out. So once we've decided that, it's quite nice to just not, we don't mind flying over a couple of countries and then coming all the way back next year or whatever. Those countries hopefully are still going to be there next year. So, yeah, that's the goal, is just to keep going west. So I think it was going to be maybe Sri Lanka and then South Africa, somewhere in Europe, meeting.
Yeah, maybe Albania, North Macedonia. Now that our friends have put that in our head, we're kind of thinking about that. Portugal, Jonny mentioned. Yeah. My parents mentioned wanting to meet us maybe in Egypt. So we're just slowly making our way over. And then my goal, honestly, since 2017, which is a long time ago, was just to get to Central America. And my friend was like, wait, meet me in the Philippines for a month, and then you can go to Central America. And they ended up back in Southeast Asia, and it's been I don't know, 7 years? I didn't fly back. And I'm like, I love Southeast Asia so much, but I really want to get there. So Jonny's like, okay, I promise we will get you to Central America. So that's pretty much our goal, is work west until we get there, and then we can explore there a bit.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, working your way west, so I'll really have to think about that one. My original plan before I came here, I was supposed to go to Peru and then Bolivia. I was going to do 30 days and then 30 days and go back home, kiss the family goodbye, tell mom and dad I'm out of here, and then head over to Southeast Asia. But believe it or not, I chickened out for the first trip because it's my first time coming over, and it's scary, right? If you don't have that education and know what you're doing. And like Jonny, I lived in the UK for 4 years, but I was with Uncle Sam, right? So that was totally different. They took care of everything. And so doing it by yourself, it's a totally different story. And so actually my Bolivia visa got canceled, or it was too late for me to apply for it. It was like, you missed the deadline. I was like, oh, dang. I just took that excuse. And like a lot of people do that, right? It's just the excuse happens and they're just like, oh, okay, it wasn't meant to be. But the sad thing is they never pursue their dream. They just kind of make that excuse and they just drop it and then they never come back. So I was like, the Asia trip was already planned and it came around and I was like, come on, Corey, we got to do it. So started packing up the house, put that for sale sign up, got rid of it. And then here we go. So here we are. So yeah, so I think I'm going to follow your guys' plan eventually and just work west. I definitely want to do the Portugal thing for sure. Spain as well. But yeah, I like that. So good deal. So you're right now, who's your audience? Like your target audience? Who are you guys talking to?
On a top level, it's digital nomads. It's anybody who is or is aspiring to be able to work and live remotely, without the traditional restrictions. Like I'm very much into minimalism and having quality over quantity, and experiences over lots of things and stuff, and just being free of debt and being mobile, and just being logistically and financially as free as possible, so we can move around. So that's another pillar of who we want to target. There's also hopefully the couple travel, because there's a lot of things that we are realizing, good and bad, that we need to be able to accommodate each other. And just being a lot more mindful when you're on the road all the time, making all these decisions. There's lots of different factors and considerations that you have to take into account that you absolutely wouldn't have thought about when you're rooted in one place and you have your friends and family and your routine. You're anchored within that, right? But when you're on the road all the time, you're just utterly not rooted to that. So you have to kind of there's definitely some considerations and that's it. You just you've got to be a lot more mindful when you're on the road. So we're trying to showcase that as well. I was saying another thing that a lot of our followers have got in touch with us, and it's one of our taglines in our bio, is real nomads, not fancy influencers. Because I think when we were doing our research, a lot of the content that we were coming across was great to look at, and it was exciting and aspirational, but sometimes it felt a little bit detached from reality, because it was very positive, look at me, I'm on a beach and you're not, kind of thing, which is fine, that's great, and it's nice, it's awesome that people can put themselves in that position. But we just wanted to come across as real, like Max is like a loud, bubbly Floridian. I'm like from the north of UK, like, there's no airs and graces or anything, and we just really wanted to get that across in our content and show that we are real nomads. We're not trying to do this to be fancy influencers. I mean, it'd be nice to make a living off this, of course it would, but we so we want to come across as relatable. Like we want people to understand that they can make all the decisions that we have done and live a life like we are, and it's scary in theory, but when you put one foot in front of the other, that it's absolutely possible. Any other? Yeah,
just tagging along on that, like I think a lot of accounts that we saw, it just didn't seem attainable. It was like everything was so picture perfect, and it had to have been super expensive. Whereas if you follow us, like you'll see our stories, like we're messy. We have an iPhone as our camera. Like our editing isn't perfect, but it is human, and it's sharing that experience. And I think people are more willing to trust us or reach out to us or ask for help, because they're like, oh wait, they're just real people. They'll actually answer my message, which is what we strive to be like. Digital nomads would be definitely couples, like Jonny mentioned. We didn't realize how different traveling would be as a pair. Like I backpacked solo for years around the world, and you just make friends at hostels, and you have like best friends in 2 hours, and the world is a very different place. But when we're traveling together, like
she's only got me.
No, yeah, but we can split costs of like a scooter or an accommodation. So now we look for private accommodation, whereas when I was traveling solo, the cost would have been double for that. And like we have just carry-on backpacks, but sometimes we'll like check one bag and we can split that. So like planning your budget and how do you divide money and who's in charge of what, like these were just conversations we didn't know we needed to have, and now we're having them, so we're sharing that kind of stuff. So I would say that's definitely our audience. Also, just it kind of bleeds out to like people traveling to the destinations we're going. I think when they see that, oh wow, they've been there for months, they're like, wait, they might be the right people to ask. It's not someone who went for a 3-day trip and is like, oh my God, let me tell you everything about this one place, I know it all. Where they're like, wait, those people live there for 7 months, like they probably do know the place. So I think that would be the audience.
Interesting, actually. I think people who go to a destination for a week and record everything, it's very touristy and very, like you're hitting all the main spots that you would as a tourist. And then somebody who's maybe been living there for years is like, I'm just living here now and I don't really care. They're probably a little bit not disenfranchised, or do you know what I mean? There's not so much interest because they've just been there for so long, for years. Whereas for us, we are staying in places long enough to really get into the local culture and the local community. And something else we're quite big on as well, just one more thing, is value maximizing. So we aren't budget traveling. but we're not fancy either. You know, we are spending money on the things that we really value. And people will see, you know, we stay in small accommodation and we eat local food, and, you know, we drive one scooter and all these different things, and we save money because we don't really need to splurge extra. But then on weekends or every other month, we can go on like we did a big cave expedition in Phong Nha National Park in Vietnam. That was like hundreds of dollars, but we could afford it because it's very much, we live like this so that we can do epic things like this. So really we want to get across like that value maximizing. Like, you don't need to travel and see all the things in the world. You don't need to splash the cash. You don't need to spend thousands of dollars. You can do it, and quite comfortably, if you just understand what you want, you know, what comfort levels you need, what food you know, if you can work out your budget in all the different areas, you can find out it's actually quite an attainable lifestyle.
Yep, I like that. Wow, that's awesome, guys. So the main thing the takeaway on this is that you guys are limiting your travel and you're living on a budget, but you're still enjoying your trip, but you're not staying long enough where it's becoming monotonous, and you're just like, all right, you know, you're like, now you're almost doing your own 9 to 5 from home. So I like that. My biggest thing right now is, as far as travel goes, is just having that, getting that local experience like you guys are talking about. So one of my good examples I always say is Thailand. I didn't realize that they have like a bus system that's a boat, and you actually get on this boat and it's really cheap, and you can just go from your condo to the mall and then take the boat back. So it's like kind of those experiences is what I want to learn when I go to different places, things that you can't just Google, right? And as you guys know, Southeast Asia, Google is not even a big, huge thing, right? I use it here in the Philippines to travel, and it works in the city, but I've tried using it to find a hiking spot, which is fine back home. And here, like we're going to the mountains, and I wound up getting my little VO stuck because it's like, oh, this is the road. Google's like, turn right. I'm like, no, Google, that's sand, and I'm pretty sure that's volcano ash. And now I'm stuck. Thank you, right? So it's these the local things that you don't know unless you are actually around the people and you're there long enough to learn, right? I mean, even if it's you're learning by mistake, like, oops, well, now I know. So I do like that you guys are sharing that as well. And then the couples thing, it's a big difference between solo traveling and as a couple. And I like how you guys are pivoting and letting your audience know, hey, there is this side, but there's also this side, right? And the fact that you guys are authentic, like not just showing the flashy, because that's all I saw. And I just, swipe left. Like, no, this is not what I want. I'm not trying to be on the boat and, in the ocean, sunset, and spending thousands and thousands of dollars. My savings will be gone in like a month. And it's just like, that's, detrimental to me. And so, but then once you realize, the nitty gritty, and it's not easy. It's not easy managing your own time and being in control of everything of your life, every aspect of your life that you have to manage, right? Like you actually have to set your alarm because, I have this, and this to do. Not because my boss is yelling at me. It's because I know I have to get it done, right? It's like, if this is what I want to be self-sufficient. I want the freedom and flexibility, but with that comes responsibility, right? It's like adulthood. You're like 18, you're like, yeah, I'm an adult. And you're like, oh, being an adult sucks, right? It's like, I want to be a kid again. But we got to think about, and that's where I come with affirmations, right? So, Johnny, you're like, yeah, you got to go to the beach and do all this stuff, and it kind of sucks, right? And you're like, come on, give yourself morning affirmations. Like, I appreciate where I'm at. I'm blessed to have this opportunity, right? And just keep moving. And the problems of travel, like you guys said, it's like, there's plenty of times I've been in halfway through a trip and like next flight got canceled, right? And I'm just like, oh, all right. So I think I was in Cambodia, and I was just like, well, I'm not sure how I'm going to get out of here, but I got a 6-hour delay. So let's go ahead and figure it out and just relax. I'm big on meditation. And so this is something that I learned actually before I travel, thank goodness, because as you know, when you're traveling, you have to be patient. There's a lot of long lines. I mean, and it's just certain things. There's traffic, a lot of traffic in Southeast Asia. I mean, I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. We have traffic, but it's a little more organized traffic, I could say. But versus like line crossing and water lines and all this, right? All these scooters everywhere. Vietnam, Da Nang is like, oh my gosh, it's a fish full of scooters, right? And it's like, how you cross the street, because they're not stopping for you. It just kind of keep on walking. Right, So little things like that, you just kind of learn along the way. So, but yeah, patience. You got to be patient. You got to just keep a good mindset on everything. And then, like Johnny said, pivot. I'm big on that one. I mean, it's a business term that I've learned learning about business, right? There wasn't a whole lot of pivoting when I was in the corporate world. It's just kind of just put your head down and keep working. But in this life, as a digital nomad, you got to learn how to pivot. So I like what you guys are doing there. That's awesome.
Something that came up though, so you said you were wanted to go to Bolivia and Peru, and then your Southeast Asia trip was already planned. So I went to Bolivia and Peru, fell in love with it. My Southeast Asia trip was already planned. And then I ended up in Southeast Asia for the last 7 or 8 years. So I'm like, good thing you didn't go on that trip, because now you have a reason to go back. Like, oh man, that's why I'm itching to go back. I'm excited for you.
Yeah, I do, because I want to, was it Machu Picchu? I want to do all that climbing and checking out all the Aztec, culture and all that construction, architecture. But I'm loving Southeast Asia right now, and there's so much more I want to see.
Hard to leave
more. Yeah,
it's so hard to leave.
It is. Like, I want to go to Bali. I've only been to Bali once, and I was there for a week, and so and that's not enough. Especially that the culture there. I talked to my driver, and he said that Bali's a little different than like Jakarta and the other parts of Indonesia, because they're more raised as being tourists, and so they're more kind. That's what they said from a young age, right? But super nice people. Like, I literally met a meditation guru from the driver. He's like, it's my uncle. He's like, we're talking about meditating. He's like, hey, you want to go talk? And I was like, oh, he's gonna try to sell me something, blah blah blah, right? No, they weren't trying to sell anything, and we spent hours there. He showed us some tricks on meditating. It was amazing, and I was like, man, like, this is the kind of stuff that you just can't do, right, everywhere. And so, like, America, it's all for sale, and here, and I mean, I think a lot of other countries, but my experience with Southeast Asia, it's not about money. It's about sharing the experience and their, their culture and stuff. But in my mindset, I'm like, all right, where's the price tag? I'm waiting for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it's not there. So you have to, for me, I have to be more open-minded and just be like, no, they're doing this out of the kindness of their heart.
Yeah. It's a really nice culture, Bali. If you get stuck into obviously there's the built-up areas that are just ultra westernized now, but if you can get out of there within 20 minutes on a bike, and you're really in the Balinese countryside, and you can see all the local families, and really get stuck into that local life. And there's a lot of very kind-hearted, family-based, community-based culture, for sure.
Yeah. Have you guys been to the other islands in Bali, the ones where like no cars and the bicycles only, and we go to Gili Island, I believe, and all the ones around Gili? Yeah. You checked it out?
Yeah, there's a few. Well, yeah, there's a couple off the southwest coast of Lombok called Gili as well. Yeah. And they're all just car free. They have horses and bicycles and stuff, but it's a very different vibe. It's very laid back, and I think earlier you were talking about the culture of Southeast Asia, where kind of things get done. You've got to be adaptable. You definitely have to do that on the smaller islands, because if you want something, it just happens when it happens. It comes, your food arrives, and your taxi, like everything just gets on island time.
The internet or the power cuts off, and it's like, oh well, in 5 hours maybe it will come back, and you're like, doesn't matter that you needed to cook food or do work. It will come back when it comes back. Yeah, they're like, now is a good time to go swim in the ocean, and you're like, okay. But yeah, we love it there. I think separately, I spent about a month, and you spent about a month on different trips in the Gilis, and it was just breathtaking. Yeah, so we've explored a lot of the islands. A lot. There's, I think, 18,000. So We explored a lot in like Bali, Lombok,
Yeah.
the Gili Islands, the Nusa Islands. You went
Lombok's
to-
very beautiful. Went to the Komodo
Komodo.
National Park with the Komodo dragons.
Yeah.
That was cool. That was pretty cool. You can do like a boat tour, a cruise, like a chartered boat, which goes for you sleep on it for 2 or 3 days, and they go around all the national parks and do all the islands and do the hikes. And you see loads of nature, and it's just unspoiled greenery. It's really beautiful.
But we only scratched the surface. Like,
Yeah.
there's so many islands. There's so much to see. Like, it was so hard to leave.
Yeah.
But I mean, same in the Philippines. Where in the Philippines are you at?
I'm in Angeles, so it's about central Luzon, the main island.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
about
Nice.
2 hours north of Manila.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
cool.
what's that like to live there?
Angeles it's good. It's like it's a smaller city, but you still have all your amenities here as far as like the SMs, like the mall. So there's actually like 3 malls here, and I mean the traffic is Philippines traffic. But what I like about it is I'm real close to the highway. So in the Philippines I can drive, right? I was scared to drive in Thailand. I mean, I told you I was in the UK for 4 years, so left-hand drive's not a problem. It's the road signs written in Thai. And then honestly, my first experience for crazy Southeastern traffic was Thailand, right? So I'm right in the back of the taxi and I'm like, oh, heck no, I'm never driving here, right? So, but Philippines, once I got here, it was the NLEX. So that's the main highway. It's Japan and American built. So it's like once you get on there, you're fine. And like that gets you up north. And so I was like, you know what? I could do this. So, and I have been. Yeah, I've been here for like this time I've been here since last November, but before that I was here like a year. So I lived here for that long, but like I call it my home base, and because everything's written in American. People say they speak English here, they don't. I think it's more the tourist areas like Boracay and Surigao, but where I'm at, they hate speaking English. Like they know how, but they say it hurts their brain, right? So they're always talking to my girlfriend. I'm like, hey, what about me? I'm the one paying. But it is, once I understood that, right? When I first got here, I was like, that's so rude, disrespectful, blah, blah, blah. You don't want to talk to me because I'm a foreigner.
Yeah.
And then she was like, no, they just don't like speaking English. It hurts their head. And then I was like, I get it. Right? Yeah. So anyways, like I took Spanish in high school. And I think one time I tried talking to someone in Spanish and they're like, oh, and these went off on me like da 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 da, and I was like, whoa, 2 years of Spanish high school, calm down. So I was like, never again. So I understand, but yeah, so I like it here in Philippines. So for now, it let me build what I need to build, and then I'm definitely going to start moving west like you guys are doing right now, because I need that freedom and flexibility. And the ultimate goal is to get back home and then have my freedom, right? To actually go back home and be able to live comfortably and not struggle. Because man, US prices, I went back last year and I was there for like 6 months, and COVID, what? I don't know last time you've been back, Max, but the prices are ridiculous. I mean, it was stupid. Like I was in real estate investing before COVID, right? And I just started. And then so right when COVID hit, the prices of houses started like doubling, right? So you're trying to get a discount and it's like, yeah, no, people are like paying double the price. And so I was like, oh, well, let's pivot, do something else. So online, make money. And how do you do that? I don't know. So figured it out. Yeah, the dream, right? Oh yeah, e-commerce store. Yeah, tried that. That was not working out too well for me. But anyways, so but I like this digital nomad thing, and it's been working out very well. And so I want to share that story and same with you guys. Oh, and so I'm curious, how do you guys make your income? Everyone wants to know, right? Are you guys up to the affiliate marketing? Are you guys doing the Amazon influencer?
Yeah, so we so I used to own a marketing agency in the UK, and I was co-running that whilst I lived over in Bali.
Nice.
But then cut ties with that. It wasn't really working out just because of time zone differences, and like the other owners were in the UK and I was over here, and it just didn't work. So I exited from that business, and then very much came into like a consultancy role. I didn't go out and seek it. There were people who came to me. They were actually coming to me while I had my full-time position at my old agency, and they were very much asking, how do we do this? Trying to get advice and information from somebody who's been there and done that. So I kind of pivoted into this consultancy role where I was basically helping agency owners earlier in the journey. They were maybe a sixth of the size of the agency that we had, or they had less clients or less staff, and I helped them with everything from hiring to firing, processes, improving services, absolutely everything that you could ever think of an agency. I basically just used my experience and helped them with that. And I'm currently in the process of basically forming a new agency with somebody, but targeting businesses in Dubai. So that's where my income comes from at the minute.
Yeah. And then I do a bunch of random things. So my digital nomad journey has been extensive. I think I left the States maybe 8 years ago. So I've had a bunch of jobs since then. But right now I have, thankfully, enough savings that I don't need to rely on another job. And I'm going full time on growing our Digital Nomads Guide. So the website, the socials, any brands that we're working with, collabs, like anything that's going on, it's pretty much sitting on my shoulders to make sure it gets done. Jonny helps so much, probably way more than I give him credit for, because it's something we're doing together. But I know he's building this marketing agency, and that's like huge for him and for us. So I'm focusing on all of our content creation and stuff. I also run some women's circles online for people in America. So when you mentioned mindfulness and meditation, that's very much my alley. Nice. But yeah, over the years, just a bunch of different jobs, from writing and teaching English and VA. Started small and then just kept growing and freelancing and building online businesses so that we could support ourselves abroad for the last 8+ years.
Which is the dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the dream. Yep, that is. So as we know, it's sometimes your goal at the end, and then you know where you're at and you know your goal. But the question is, how do you get from one to the other, right? And a lot of the stuff you have to run around in circles, right? You just walk in a straight line, but that's not going to get me there. So you have to backtrack, figure something else out, right? So right now I got the Jet Set Voyage going on with the Jet Set Journey podcast, but ultimately I want to get back into real estate. And so I'm but I don't want to go back home and do it. And so I'm hey, how do I do it here, right? So co-living spaces. So Philippines, one of the biggest problems we have in Philippines is power outages, like you guys said in Bali, and internet, right? So my friend Elon, we're on first name basis. We got Starlink out here now, and Starlink is great. I've been using it for 6 months. So when my internet goes out for a little bit, I just switch over to Starlink, and it's my backup, right? So I'm if I can get some co-living spaces here, and then just kind of add that. So that's my little pivot, right? I already got the real estate experience, but it's a different country, but it's not much. It's just a rental agreement. It's the Philippines, right? You just have to have money. But that's just everywhere, as long as you're happy, right? And in Thailand, I can do a contract for 30 years, right? And you can renew it every 3 times. So I'm I think I can handle that. I don't think I'll make the 90, but at least my kids will be happy for a little bit. So so that's the plan for me. So, but I love that what you guys are doing. So yeah.
Where in the UK did you stay?
I was in Mildenhall. You know Mildenhall?
Yeah, I went from Yorkshire, and then I lived in Newcastle for basically all of them. Yeah,
I know where Newcastle is. Nice.
Scotland, I'm no, almost, but very cold, very cheap, very beautiful. But
yes, very beautiful. All of it. That whole country is beautiful, but it's cold and rainy. I grew up in Arizona. And we love the rain. We do the rain dance. I watched Sleepless in Seattle, and I was I want to live in Seattle, because it's raining all the time. Get to UK and it's raining all the time. Won't stop.
But it's grey and it's raining all the time. Yeah, the UK can turn it on. It has some summers are absolutely beautiful and very warm and fresh, but most of the time it can be cloudy and rainy. So yeah, I very much did enjoy the change in weather when I moved over to Southeast Asia for sure.
Yeah. No, I like that you said it's very warm. It's all perspective, right? It's like, what are you relating it to? So I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. Dry heat, like 120 on a good day. And so UK, I think it got up to like 80 or 90 and people were like keeling off, like old people.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was just like, what's going on here? But if you're not used to it, you're not used to it, right? Like me, I walk around here in Southeast Asia and I'm dripping sweat as I'm walking. Like, they're like, sir, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm not used to this humidity. I'm dying here. Where's my air conditioner? So,
we're in Thailand right now, and I'm from Florida, so I'm used to like heat and humidity and rainy days, and some days it's very enjoyable here, and I'm like, Johnny, I'm cold, like I think it's too cold, and it's like hot out, like 80, 90 degrees, and I'm like, I think it's cold, like yeah, it's all perspective, right?
It is, it really is. So I lived in Jacksonville for 2 years.
Okay, cool.
What part were you in?
Fort Lauderdale.
Okay, more south.
So down south. Yeah. Jacksonville.
Yeah. But yeah, I hate the humidity there too. Like I worked nights and it would be like cold and humid. So I put my jacket on and I'm like, take my jacket off because I'm sweating. And I'm like, okay, now I'm cold. It's like back and forth. This is ridiculous. What's going on in this world? Pick one.
I have to do with the air conditioning every day. I'm like, I'm cold, I'm hot, I'm cold, I'm hot. It's humid. I can't, I'm like, I have a jacket on and we're in a tropical island. Like I can't figure out the future.
Yeah. So, but just get used to it, manage it. So it is what it is. So, all right. So I think, man, we pretty much got you guys covered. I don't really have anything else. Is there anything else you guys want to share?
Anything else?
Yeah, I think we got that all covered. All right, Johnny, Max, I do appreciate you guys being on the show. This was fun. I definitely will be following you. You guys, all their information, their contact information is in the description. So you'll be able to find that. Please follow them, see what they're doing, see how they can help you along your way. Reach out to them. And thanks again for showing up, guys. I'll talk to you guys later.
Awesome. Thank you.